I am Greg Gutfeld with Kimberly Guilfoyle, Juan Williams, Jesse Waters, and she flies first class on a paper airplane. Dana Perino, the 5. Yesterday, Nancy Pelosi, a true champion of women, defended John Conyers over claims of sexual harassment. She was awful.
John Conyers is an icon in our country. He has done a great deal to protect women, Violence Against Women Act, which the right wing is now quoting me as praising him for his work on that, and he did great work on that.
Ah, yes, the icon clause, in which public service excuses private behavior. I call it the pig pass. The more progressive you are, the more disgusting you can be. Champion publicly, harass privately. Or if you're Ted Kennedy, Harvey Weinstein, or Bill Clinton, not so privately. Apparently, Conyers would show up to a meeting in his underwear. Strange, but maybe it was casual Friday. But while Nancy wants due process for Conyers, she's not behind it for private citizens. She supported Title IX, which allows schools, not the law, to handle rape cases. Odd, we'd never expect a college to settle a murder rap. It makes no sense. Anyway, it's not like defending bad behavior is new for Nancy.
Why the silence when there have been these allegations, serious ones, about President Clinton?
Well, I'd like to say that I think that the women of America are speaking out about what they think about this whole situation. And the women of America are just like other Americans in that they value fairness, they value privacy, and do not want to see a person with uncontrolled power, uncontrolled time, unlimited money investigating the President of the United States.
I'll say this, at least she's consistent in her hypocrisy. For whom she defends is always based on politics. If the harasser's on your team, you soften your stance. It happens on the left, and now it's on the right. But the left made it in art form. No wonder Alabamans ignore the media about Roy Moore. But the real scandal? Let's call that Congregate. That's where your money is being used to settle cases involving politicians' misconduct. Congregate. How is this okay? And how did the media miss Congregate? 234 incidences in Congress, covered up by $17 million in taxpayer money, could be one of the biggest stories in decades. And it flew right under our radar. But not anymore. No wonder Nancy looks so nervous or excited. I mean, I can never tell. Oh, geez, where to start? So much here. Is this a big deal, Congregate?
I like Congregate. I think that everyone should hashtag that right now and give you full credit.
I know, even though maybe I might have stolen it from a celebrity friend of mine.
When I saw the Nancy Pelosi interview on Meet the Press, I thought it was communications malpractice because, like, when your boss is going to go on a Sunday show, you get together and you prep.
Yes.
And you think about what are all the possible questions that are going to be, that we are going to get. This was obviously going to be one of them. So I have to ask, like, was this planned?
Yeah.
Like, or was this, and when she is practicing the answer, does it not occur to anybody that this sounds really bad?
Yeah. Kimberly, how do you think she did there? I mean, she's done it before. At least she's consistent.
Yeah, maybe the older Cliff was more compelling. But, you know, it's a double standard, the hypocrisy. Why does she even go out and say that? It's like they make excuses to say, oh, they're champion of women's rights before, the iconic figure. That doesn't give you a pass for inappropriate behavior or sexual assault or misconduct or sexual harassment. So, you know, but you see people making excuses saying, well, he's older.
Yeah.
Now he didn't know what he was really doing, or it's not that sexy because he's older. And I mean, that also makes no sense to me.
No, Jesse, it's a problem, especially showing for working your underwear.
I thought
Yes,
I wouldn't
I wouldn't know anything about that. So maybe somebody else here at the table do, Gutfeld. I think the Democrats have lost their moral authority on sexual harassment, not that they ever had any to begin with. I think that Pelosi played herself because she put power over principle. She's either too afraid of the Congressional Black Caucus, or she knows there's a ton of shoes that are about to drop on some of the other members of the Democratic Party, so she doesn't want zero tolerance because she's trying to retake back the House. The icon excuse, probably. The icon excuse, I think she's using icon a little too loosely there. The guy's a congressman. He's not Muhammad Ali. And there are other actual icons recently that have been taken down by sexual harassment that are a lot more iconic than John Conyers, and that excuse did not work for them either.
We won't mention their names.
She's also using the Harvey Weinstein and Bill Clinton excuse, which is undermine the credibility of the women.
Right.
And say that because this guy has fought for progressive causes, and they're going to take on the NRA, that you have to side with them. But just because you vote with Nancy doesn't give you a license to get handsy. And then you have the part where Conyers now is being denied due process. Who's denying John Conyers due process? It's not like he's the victim here.
Well,
he's going to go to an ethics investigation.
But he already had a settlement in his office.
Exactly.
I mean, he handled that's how he decided to do the due process.
That was the due process.
That was his choice.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, go ahead.
False flag.
I want to get one in here. This Congregate, which will be bigger than Watergate.
I like it.
It's a big deal. This is a cover. I mean, should they make all of this transparent and let everybody know what these cases were? Or is this going to be a nightmare?
I think that'd be a nightmare. I think there is some need for confidentiality. The thing is, it's got to be a publicly established process so everybody knows there is some way that you can come to the table and say there's a problem with your employer or colleague and make it and get some sense of, resolution to the problem. But I just think I'm listening to you guys and I'm just like, wow.
Always.
So this is how you're handling Roy Moore? You're going to accuse the Democrats of hypocrisy.
Wait, what?
When I heard from Nancy Pelosi yesterday, I think Dana's on track. She didn't look great, but here's what she said. No matter about the legacy, there is no license for bad behavior in terms of sexual harassment and zero tolerance. That's from Nancy Pelosi. I don't hear that from you guys. Instead, you're busy trying to make the case that Nancy Pelosi is making an excuse for him.
She did.
She didn't. What she said, and the worst, I'll weaken my own argument. The worst that she said was, I don't know who these women are, when in fact, part of the deal was that the women would not be public with their allegations.
I mean, you did weaken your argument strongly just there.
I did, because I want everything on the table. But I must say that she did not say what you said. She said zero tolerance. And by the way, Jesse.
What does zero tolerance mean?
Jesse, let me just tell you something. That guy is an icon. John Conyers, not only in terms of what he did as a member of Congress on the Title IX, other issues that she was talking about, but establishing the Congressional Black Caucus.
I'm not putting John Conyers down. I am saying if you go out in the street and ask anybody who John Conyers is, no one knows who he is. That is not iconic.
I'm sorry, maybe it's your age, but John Conyers is pretty well known in Washington and in Michigan. Well, I don't think there's any question.
Just because people know him in Washington doesn't know the rest of the country knows.
Well, I agree, but I don't.
Still no excuse.
Yeah, more people wouldn't know who Nancy Pelosi is if you asked them. Here's a picture. Who's this?
I consider myself an icon.
Right. Well, you are. You're my icon.
I am. You are my icon as well. Can we roll this? So Al Franken spoke today against this wonderful black background,
which weird lighting.
It was like he was floating in space.
Yes, just his head.
Yes.
Let's look.
Anyway, let's take a look.
If you had, asked me 2 weeks ago, would any woman come forward with an allegation like this, I would have said no. And so I cannot speculate. This has been a shock, and it's been extremely humbling. I am embarrassed. I feel ashamed. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start my job. I'm going to go back to work.
As much as I want to make fun of him and stuff, I have to say I saw somebody that is overwhelmed by circumstance. When he said, if you had asked me 2 weeks that this would happen, I never would have seen this coming, which means he saw this blanket of offensive behavior of grabbing people as part of a shtick, and that he's like completely overwhelmed. I honestly do kind of sense contrition. Is that how you say it? Contrite. You say contrite.
But you
congregate.
Can say congregate.
I'm good with some things, bad with others. We'll be right back.
So I talked to a couple staffers that were watching it, and they said they were young women, and they said they found it to be totally insincere. Now, I think that for him, he probably was mustering up as much sincerity as he could because he never thought this was a problem.
Right.
So like 2 weeks ago, he never would have thought that he would have been in the same category as Harvey Weinstein.
Right.
Or Roy Moore or whoever else it might be. But it's different for me, especially watching him, is he says, I'm sorry, I'm embarrassed and I'm ashamed, and I'm going back to work. The difference with the private sector is that if you say, I'm sorry, I'm ashamed. And they're like, okay, you're still fired.
Yeah.
And you go.
That's what the difference is now. The Democrats have set something up where if you're Conyers and you say, I deny it, they believe you. Or if you're this guy in Minnesota, you say, I apologize, then you're forgiven. So the Democrats can have it either way, both ways, and they're still absolved.
Jesse, this is news to me. I believe that Conyers is now subject to an ethics investigation.
Oh, no.
Wait,
I bet
hold
Conyers
on.
is shaking in his shoes.
I'm just
Juan.
saying.
What happened?
He's not wearing shoes.
He denied the allegation. There's an investigation.
Great
This is
point.
like you guys are trying to set Democrats up as strawmen who, whenever it's a Democrat, they excuse sexual harassment.
I'm just
Excuse
holding
me.
you guys to the
What
same
about,
standards
no, it's
that you
not.
guys set.
Let me just tell you something.
You said zero
If-
tolerance.
Zero
You said
tolerance.
you believe every single woman
no,
that comes forward. And
Jesse.
now they've settled multiple harassment lawsuits. There's photographic evidence. And now all of a sudden, ooh, ethics investigation.
Jesse, all I'm
It's toothless.
saying, Jesse, stop. Hold on. But Jesse, if you
Fair
look
enough.
at Harvey Weinstein, Kevin Spacey,
Yeah.
Bill Cosby, I can go on. I don't see Democrats defending these folks. I see Democrats saying there's a problem here. And yet, when you come to Roy Moore,
And all those guys
Roy
lost their
Moore,
jobs and
oh,
lost their
no
careers,
problem.
but
Roy
their
Moore.
colleagues haven't.
Okay,
Oh,
let me draw a distinction here with Kimberly. The difference, I see it differently than Juan, between the Republicans and the Democrats. Roy Moore is actually running against Mitch McConnell, and Franken and Conyers are actually backed by their party. So it's the Republicans who are actually being noble about this, right?
The
They
establishment.
want Moore to step
Right.
aside.
Oh, yeah,
but
is
the
that what
Democrats.
President Trump said?
No, but McConnell. We just saw
Everybody
John
except
Thune.
No, how about the governor? The governor's
there's been a
back.
lot
There's no lockstep in the Republican Party, as you can tell here. There's lockstep in boxers.
But not with younger women in the Democratic
Right? Yeah,
Party.
yeah.
They
They're
don't
mad,
like it.
They're mad at Nancy. Go ahead.
You're calling me again.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And that's why, to me, it's perplexing because the biggest sin was the first problem with Bill Clinton, where you saw Democrats, and they're still not even really that willing to call him out on his behavior, despite those women being brave, coming forward, telling their stories repeatedly, making fresh complaints at the time, physical evidence, et cetera, of injury, like with Juanita Broderick. And now you see the Democrat, oh, wait a second. Conyers is iconic, so therefore get your Fruit of the Loom on, sit in your underwear, it's all good. Geraldo tried this with me the other night. He said,
What's that? Underwear in front of you?
Oh, my
That's what I
goodness.
meant. I meant on the air, on Hannity. And he said, well, Conyers, come on, he's older guy. It's not that sexy sitting there in his under. I said, but that's not the standard if he's David Beckham or not.
Not
that
that
is not
sexy.
the point.
It's not the
That is not
standard.
the point. Do you know what I mean? Right? He's like, well, if it's an old guy, I don't think it was meant to be that way. And I was like, yeah, no, I don't think so.
Old guy excuse.
The only if you use that excuse, it has to do with the mental faculties, saying like
Right.
he's not aware that his robe is open.
Well, that was something the New York Times just reported, and they said that he'd actually showed up in his robe on a number of occasions at public events.
So maybe maybe it's something that isn't. Maybe it's more sad than it is.
Well, he's 88.
Yeah.
it could be
But
a
this has been
combination.
going
I
on
think
for
he's
years.
the
He's been in
longest
Congress
serving
for
member.
50
He's
years.
the longest serving member right now. So
Right.
he's an
But he
older
didn't-
person.
Now
Some of
he's
these
a
senior
go
guy on
back
House
a ways,
Can I
and
say
he
one
settled
last
them.
thing?
Sure.
Just about this issue on the NDAs and whether they should all be revealed and we should have total transparency. Sometimes NDAs are there to protect the victim. And I don't think that we should be out calling for all of them to be made public writ large and just say, we'll rip the Band-Aid off because it's taxpayer dollars and we want to know. I think victims deserve a say on whether they
the
want
only
to be
thing about
revealed.
that is
And it's
a lot of
legally
these-
contracted for. I mean, honestly, to honor the
Right.
law and the contract, and it protects both sides.
But do you think that NDAs prolong the problem by silencing it?
Maybe.
Maybe there
Sure.
might have been things that would have come out earlier, and a lot of
Well, no,
it's
we know that. That is actually true.
Right.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that there couldn't be a victim who would say, I don't want my name out
Yeah.
there
Maybe they don't want
because they
that.
signed something.
But
I think more than anybody, they don't want it out
Nobody
there.
wants
It's
their
not
name
fun
out
or
there.
comfortable to come forward or make a
But
complaint.
prospectively.
but then you have serial abusers who continue because of these NDAs. There were, you could have 5 or 6 NDAs under one guy.
Yes, we know that.
Maybe they didn't want to sign the NDAs either.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
they were forced
True.
into it.
Yeah. These are important questions that we will
be right back.
continue covering for the
Represented
next
by
16
counsel.
years. Trump's Person of the Year tweet got a lot of pushback, but was he right? Did he pull back the curtain on Time's effort to land him? Next.
President Trump's Time magazine feud and his Pocahontas crack. 2 controversies getting a lot of attention today. First up, Time magazine. Next week, the publication will announce its pick for Person of the Year. The president creating a frenzy over the holiday weekend with one of his tweets. This one claiming he pulled himself out of contention for the title, saying, Time magazine called to say that I was probably going to be named person of the year, like last year, but I would have to agree to an interview and a major photo shoot. I said probably is no good and took a pass. Thanks anyway. The publication disputes it, dangled an offer to him, writing that the president is incorrect about how we choose person of the year. Time does not comment on our choice until publication, which is December 6th. And I might show that Time magazine does a poll, an online poll, which is not a scientific poll. And they ask people who should be Time Person of the Year. Right now, at 4 o'clock today, Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, soon to be the king there, at 16%. And then you see all sorts of other people. The Dreamers, Colin Kaepernick.
I was going to say, did you see Kaepernick? Kaepernick is like number 5. And guess where Donald Trump is in that poll?
Oh, no, it's like way down. I know. I got it.
Okay, we know that's a garbage poll if you have Mohammed bin Salman on there.
I know, it has to be
garbage.
bots.
No, America doesn't even know who he is.
Right. I think it's like bots.
What? Yeah.
Maybe like Saudi bots.
Saudi bots.
Voting for him over and over again. So you were in the magazine business. How does this work?
Time is lying. They wanted Trump. They contacted him. They wanted a fresh suit, a fresh photo shoot. He said, "Okay, am I going to be man of the year?" They said, "Probably." This is what Maxim used to do for their Hot 100. They'd work with publicists to make deals. You want Christina Aguilera? I'm talking about early 2000s. You want a cover of new photos because that sells copies.
Right.
So you promise her number one, and you often also offer gifts. Do you think Blake Shelton won Sexiest Man of the Year on People because he was sexy? No.
Absolutely meritorious.
No.
Gwen thinks so.
They traded for exclusivity and for him and Gwen to talk about the relationship because in gossip world, that's opium. So what they did was Trump realized that Time needed him more than he needed Time. It was a negotiation and a deal. Again, he pulled back the curtain. He said, this is how magazines work. They were negotiating for a fresh photo shoot because they know he sells copies. And he said, I don't really need you. And then everybody gets upset about this. And they're upset about it because they can't believe that a guy can operate with such lack of humility, the kind of insecurities that they have. They just sit there and they go like, how could he do this? Because he can.
Let me
But
ask
he
you
has
something.
always
Who do
liked
you
Time
trust?
magazine.
You trust Trump and not the editors of Time magazine
Yes.
who have
Correct.
flatly said this is not true.
That's
Why
not
would
a
he
flat
make
denial.
that
I
up?
worked in 15 years in magazines. I know how you do cover deals.
Right, and I know as a journalist that Donald Trump has a loose relationship with the facts and the truth. And that he is obsessed with this Time magazine stuff to the point
So you're
of
saying they
putting
didn't do
fake
this,
covers
you're
up
saying this conversation
in his
never
golf,
happened?
in his golf
This conversation, I will bet you a steak dinner this conversation
Well,
happened.
you won the last bet, I believe. So I just got.
And
I'm
you
going
still
to
haven't
be
gotten
feeding
the
you for
steak.
years. Oh,
So
my.
before we get to the other topic, Kimberly, any thoughts
Yes,
on
thank
Time
you so
magazine?
much. I believe him. I think it's exactly what happened. I know what like Greg does for people to try and get exclusives or do magazine covers. They ask you for this. Okay, will you give us a sit down? Will you talk about this? Will you then do? Yes. Okay, then you make a deal with them. I think they got humiliated because he went out and outed them essentially and went out with it first. So now they're trying to backtrack, say no. That's what happens all the time. I mean,
I just remember from when I was at the White House that these calls were, you would get them, but we never actually thought that President Bush was ever actually going to be given the Time magazine cover. So we would not, I don't know how many times he did.
This is what makes him different. He's like going, am I going to be man of the year or not? Tell me. I mean,
that's his
think
deal.
about that. That's
but he's
different.
right. You just say, okay, yes, are you giving it to me or not?
All right, Jesse, on Time magazine, what do you think?
Sure. I mean, Ari Fleischer, your colleague, when he was press secretary, said in defense of Trump about Time magazine in 2001, Time told us Bush might be man of the year.
Yeah.
They wanted a photo shoot and an interview. I don't remember if we did it. Then they went with Mayor Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah, I think they make several calls.
Yeah, they call around. But I mean, Trump thinks he should be man of the year every year.
There we
so
go.
whenever he's not man of the year, he believes he was wrong.
Yes.
But that's fine. I mean,
No, that's
Obama
not.
got the
No.
Nobel Peace Prize his
Well,
first year. He's just being competitive.
But
What
I'm
was that
saying
for
it's
again?
Trump
Yeah, what
who's
was that for
obsessed
again?
with this. Nobody. I don't even think Time magazine is
Syria.
that hot anymore. But Trump thinks it's the defining
Yeah, it's an old
element.
school publication deal. Who
All
cares?
right. Well, can we talk about our other subject?
Sure.
This was happened earlier today. So the president was giving an event with the Navajo Code Talkers. There's 13 of them left living, and these are really great Americans, and they got to come to the Oval Office and having a meeting with the president. So that was the purpose of the event. He also talked about tax reform, and then he had a little bit of this to say.
You were here long before any of us were here, although we have a representative in Congress who they say was here a long time ago. They call her Pocahontas. But you know what? I like you because you are special.
As soon as I heard it, I thought, okay, we're not going to be talking about tax reform.
Why would you?
Going to get upset. And then Sarah Huckabee Sanders, when she was asked if it was offensive, she said, I think what most people find offensive is Senator Warren lying about her heritage to advance her career. And Senator Warren, then she's going to
Good comeback, by the way.
Well, what do you say?
Snappy.
I think what he was saying is you are real Native Americans, and I appreciate real Native Americans. Not like this lady over here, Pocahontas. You have to understand that while we were watching this, we were all laughing because it's funny, and it takes a very little part of your day. Those guys were actually smiling. It was kind of funny.
I think they were older men, and I don't think they understood what was going on. And I think Trump
Once
was
again,
taking
the
a
older
cheap
defense.
shot. What?
The older defense again.
Yes.
No, I don't think those guys were in touch with the kind of current political climate.
You might be right.
Where Trump goes after his political rival
Yes.
in this event with this kind of racist comment.
It's not racist. It was anti-racist. He said, yes, he was saying you're Native American. She wasn't.
No.
That's anti-racist.
No, when you start calling out people and say, oh, she's Pocahontas.
It's because she lied.
It's a joke. Okay, that was your argument. It's a joke. I think to lots of people, it's not a joke.
That's their problem.
Well,
That is if they can't find it funny, they got to find their funny bone because you've got 4 more years of this.
That's a fact. We got 4 more years of this.
It's so interesting because we defend these things by saying, oh, come on, he's funny, and he's like, don't be so thin-skinned. But when the shoe's on the other foot, it's like a different situation. I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. So I thought also, which was cute, that was getting left behind is like his aggressive hugging, shaking of the guy.
They are true
cute.
American heroes.
They are.
It was really
very
tremendous.
Sweet.
So we are
like
glad
you.
that the Navajo code talkers got their moment in the Oval
God
Office.
bless them.
All right, a Fast as 7 coming your way. But first, Kimberly breaks out the crown for some very big royal news. Next.
Oh, it was a nice day for a wedding. Time now for a very special installment of Kimberly's Royal News. Indeed, yes. Stop the presses, people. Prince Harry is officially off the market. Sorry, ladies, the 33-year-old heartthrob is now engaged to American actress Meghan Markle. The fifth in line to the throne popped the question earlier this month with the blessing of Grandma, of course, the Queen. They will marry sometime this spring. The happy couple appeared before cameras today at Kensington Palace, and then they gave an interview to the BBC.
Was it an instant yes from you?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I could barely let you finish proposing. I said, can I say yes now?
She didn't even let me finish. She said, can I say yes, can I say yes now? And then there was hugs, and I had the ring in my finger, and I was like, can I give you the ring? And she goes, oh, yes, the ring. So, no, it was a really nice moment. It was just the two of us, and I think I managed to catch her by surprise as well.
Aw, they're very sweet. Even Greg likes it. So what about the ring, right? Royal officials say the prince designed the sparkler for Markle himself, so he is creative as well. It includes a large center diamond from Botswana, where the couple have traveled together. The 2 smaller outside stones are from his late mother, Diana's personal collection. So very sweet to have that special meaning, something from his mother, and also something that's meaningful from them from a trip that they traveled together to Botswana. Not you. No, Greg, we should not call on you yet. Tina.
I think it's very exciting. I think they're obviously in love, and they have been given some, I think they've been given some good treatment by the press so far during their dating. And also, I think it's really neat for America and the UK because we have a very special relationship going back as political allies. But now I think this is just even more fun for both countries.
I love it. Jesse, do you like it? They're a very sweet couple.
I think they're very sweet. I have so much to say about this. Not really.
Fake it like you always do.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. They look like they're in love.
Wow, you're a real romantic.
I love the special relationship that America has with Great Britain. I think this is going to really forge the alliance even stronger now. And they look great together. She's very beautiful. And he fought the Taliban over there in Afghanistan very bravely.
Yes.
So my hat's off to him there.
And the Invictus Games.
That is all I can come up with right now.
Well done,
for this
well done.
very scintillating
And he has served his country as well in the military.
Yes.
Awan, you're into food, so I don't know if you like this little tidbit, but the royal couple said they were roasting a chicken on a cozy night at Kensington Palace when this happened.
They're just like us.
They're just like us. I mean, can you roast a chicken well?
No.
I was impressed by that, just so
I
you
can
know.
fry
But do you think they were personally roasting the chicken or having a chicken roasted?
No, I think they were personally roasting it. That's what I think
I'm all
is very
for it.
sweet. Yeah.
So I thought the most interesting thing that I read about this was that Prince Harry said that he had gone to his brother and just expressed how many years, I think he said it had been 20 years because his mom, Princess Diana, died when he was 12, that he was emotionally locked up and conflicted and he wasn't able to really love or to speak to people or even to do his best work, and that he went into therapy, and for 3 years of therapy, it's helped him a lot, and I think he credits that in part with allowing him to be emotionally open to falling in love. And so that's great. And the second thing that interests me as a black American is that he says he thinks the press has been treating his fiancée with racial overtones because she is half white, half black, and that some of it's just insensitive, he said, and sexism. So I don't think he thinks the press has been very fair to her. She's 3 years older than he is. I'm surprised they're not picking on that.
They make a point to say it in every interview.
She's robbing the cradle? Is that what you're saying?
Maybe. That's what my wife did.
Greg's
That's
dying.
right. Jackpot.
Jesse, just so you know, Juan's comments were really thoughtful and very good analysis.
I didn't know Juan took such a liking to the royal news.
Greg, we've left not much time for you, but go ahead.
I think I can speak for most Americans when I say, shoot me in the face. Look, number one, let's get through this quickly, okay? Because I know we only have 30 seconds. She's a traitor. Does the Revolutionary War mean nothing to you?
Oh, my God.
Never forget. Never forget.
Wait a second. Isn't your wife from another...
Yeah, but we didn't break free from Russia. And by the way,
We still haven't.
what bugs me about
You married a Russian.
Stop it. What bugs me about this story is the assumption that because someone cares, we all must care. I don't care. I don't care. Royalty news is artificial nonsense. It's the mundane reflex to cover a story the way we cover Groundhog Day, except this is more tedious than Groundhog Day. By the way, there are other royalty stories we could cover. What about the Saudi new king? There's royalty. What about
I mentioned him in the B-block.
What about Prince Alawi? Didn't he own Fox News? He's shackled somewhere in a prison.
How are you ruining my
He's shackled at the Ritz-Carlton, which, by the way, isn't so bad, but I think he's not getting a good ride.
You're not getting invited to the royal wedding.
Finally, royalty is a reminder to everyone that life is a crapshoot, that you do not pick your parents, that one day some guy wakes up, he's a prince, and in another area, somebody's a pauper. It's all unfair.
Maybe you should take Prince Harry's advice and go to counseling.
Last time we did this segment, I got in so much trouble. Don't you remember when I said that we were going to interview the baby's umbilical cord, and second floor called me because that was like I was insulting the royal baby? No, I wasn't.
And you're terrible.
The royal baby doesn't even watch the Five.
That's why Martha McCallum won't come back.
It was the baby was his floor. Boy, was Martha mad.
Oh, my gosh. They're hard wrapping you now, crazy one. Stay right there. The Fastest 7 is up next.
Welcome back. There's some more football controversies, but this time it has nothing to do with the anthem protests. First up, Raiders clobbered the Broncos yesterday, 21-14, after a different thing about the backstory to this.
Broncos, well, I do remember growing up when Elway was the quarterback that Denver hated the Oakland Raiders.
They did?
Yeah, right?
And that is all you know. Kind of like me in the last segment on the Royals.
Not be upset about it. I would be mortified.
Yeah,
I would never get over it if I got ejected from the Five.
Getting suspended from school was great. Did you ever get suspended from school?
No.
Obviously not.
No, never, Gutfeld.
We got
Not
awards,
me.
okay?
You ever had your pay docked?
No.
That's what happens to them.
I only want to ask what you did to get suspended, because it's probably...
Firecrackers in a locker.
All right, next. Wouldn't you like to know what set off this scene on a field in Tennessee? A Maryland high school cheerleader caught on tape grabbing the quarterback by his mask to give him a piece of her mind. Was it a quarrel? The young woman seen in the video says no. Grace Levinsky posted on Twitter, "For everybody who saw that video of me and Dylan Hopkins, we're very good friends, and it's not what it looks like." Kimberly, you've never done that to any players that you've been dating, right? You're not going out with your friends after the game.
I mean, my
You're
God.
coming home with me.
Yeah, obviously, I wouldn't even have to.
Throwing punches at people who have helmets on their head. And now she's grabbing the face mask, which, as Kimberly points out, penalty.
Have caption contest. I think that's pretty fun. I wish if she's going to tweet about it, I wish she would tell us more what she told him.
Yeah, we want the gossip.
It's probably involved another cheerleader.
Yeah, definitely.
Doesn't it always, Kimberly? Every problem in life involves another cheerleader. Anyway, I want a movie about this, about everything that led to the that moment, reconstructed 3 ways from 3 different directors.
It's called Love Actually.
Don't ever say that word, those words in front of me. You know that when you say Love Actually, I get very angry.
Freaks out.
I can't finish my thought now.
But three different directors talking about the movie, reconstructed.
It's over now for me. She said Love Actually.
All right,
His
well,
most hated
there
movie.
literally isn't a thing this White House can do without the liberal media crying foul. Now even bake a pie. True story, next.
This Thanksgiving, White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders decided to do some baking. Why is that news? Well, she posted a picture of her chocolate pecan pie online, and it looked picture perfect. So almost immediately, critics questioned its authenticity. Urban Radio Network's reporter April Ryan was among the skeptics. She tweeted, quote, "Show it to us on a table." Sanders fired back at the Piegate conspiracy. "Don't worry, April Ryan, because I'm nice, I'll bake one for you next week. Hashtag real pie, hashtag fake news." Oh my gosh.
Wasn't this? I think they were joking.
I
can't.
hope so.
I mean,
I
I can't imagine. First of all, it's ridiculous for anyone to suggest that Sarah Huckabee Sanders wouldn't know how to bake because
She's a woman?
No.
Sexist.
No, I'm.
I guess all women know how to make pies,
Not
Dana.
saying that.
Maybe, you know what I'm going to say? I'm with April on this. This pie looks too perfect. It's like when Bill Hemmer posts Instagram pictures of his quads and his pecs, and I'm going, that's not you, Bill.
Don't look at
I want to
pies.
see the real thing. I'm just surprised, a liberal, typical liberal, just doesn't believe anybody could make their own pie.
Okay, that's
maybe the
not what I'm
government
saying.
made their own pie.
I think that like people got carried away. I think April was probably joking.
Well, let's hope. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you take it to a serious level, Jesse,
Yeah,
then it's about,
serious about this.
if you want, I'm with Dana on it, but if you want to be serious about that, you can say, oh, well, this has to do, like we were talking about the Time Magazine thing or the biggest inauguration ever. Is this about the credibility that April Ryan's saying she doesn't believe anything that comes out of the mouth of this administration?
Yeah, let's get to the crust of the matter. I mean, the crux of the matter,
Yeah,
Juan.
nice, well done.
Piegate shows how the relationship between the press and the White House has crumbled. Trust is a very important ingredient, and without it, it's a recipe for disaster. And the public just doesn't have the appetite for these types of petty skirmishes. I'm glad Sanders took the high road, and she handled it tastefully.
Oh, this was excellent.
what?
That was excellent, man.
You know who would do that? Peter would do something like that.
So,
better.
But better, yes. I left that
Okay,
part
I'll
out.
take that.
She gave you a little bit of mincemeat pie
Yeah,
there.
she did.
Okay?
So
I want to know,
Kimberly-
is it pecan or pecan?
Pecan. Kimberly, let me
the
ask you a
authority
question.
on it.
Yes. What would you like to ask me?
what
That
is
sounds
it-
like a drug advertised at Fox News.
I understand where April Ryan says, show us people eating. But why show it to me on a table?
Show me the pie. I don't know, because she wants to see it in person, like proof, like up close and personal, like serve it up to me, show it to
But
me.
no,
I don't
she
know.
said
This
show
is becoming like Kofifi,
Oh.
where people are obsessing about the pecan pie thing or pecan or whatever. I don't know, potato. But no, so I think that Sarah Sanders baked the pie. I mean,
Obviously.
I don't know.
So I don't understand
But-
why everyone's so up
but
in
here's the
arms
thing.
about this. I
People
mean,
got-
I would have just gone to Magnolia Bakery and bought it. But
Oh,
you
you
know.
would. But I got to tell you, people are upset because she's from Arkansas, and a Southern woman should not be questioned, I'm told, on her cooking. Anyway,
Oh, I
one
wanna
more
be
thing
Southern
up
then.
next.
Pecan.
Does that make me crazy?
Time for one more thing, Dana.
So if you saw the Thanksgiving show, you might have seen that Greg said that the best gift he ever got was the encyclopedia, a set of encyclopedias. So guess what? You can still get them.
Really?
It's not just all online. The World Book Encyclopedia is celebrating its 100th year. It used to employ an international sales force of 40,000 people. Today there's about 100. One of which is a guy named Kerry Curran in Ontario, and he calls himself the Lonely Salesman. You can get digital subscriptions, but teachers and librarians have been telling parents that it's good for children to have the actual book. And this year, the World Encyclopedia 2017 edition is only $899. It's usually $1,099.
All right,
it's quite a
that's-
deal.
It's great, but I didn't see Encyclopedia Britannica. I said the People's Almanac. Whoever fed you that information is a liar and should be fired. Kimberly.
All right, well, I had a fantastic time with my friend Kat McPhee. Dana knows her and is friends with her as well.
I'm friends with her.
No, you're not, Greg. She performed at the Carlisle this weekend. Fabulous shows, and it was packed, totally sold out. Very exciting, and it was to celebrate, her new album that you can get now called "I Fall in Love Too Easily," and it's available everywhere. That's us after having fun and went out for a couple burgers. She was accompanied by some acclaimed musicians during the performances: Frederick Yonnet on harmonica and Chris Body on trumpet, and special guest David Foster. Take a listen. Watch sometime, and you can start on the show Scorpion now.
Excellent. All right. Time for I Hate These Pimples. All right, so I'm over 50, which means I can see the end. Before 50 in your 40s, you're going up the hill, you have fun, you party, and you're doing all these awful things. And then all of a sudden, you're at the top of the hill. You could see the end. You know it's coming because there's less time ahead of you than there is behind, and it speeds up, and it's really bad. There's no upside to that downside. So why do I have a zit? Zits are not for old people. I have a giant zit in my neck. If I'm going to be dying of old age and I'm getting wrinkles, there has to be a trade. Nobody over 50 should be getting zits. I don't know why I'm getting pimples.
Maybe that means you're going to live to 110.
No,
it's
just
because you're so juvenile. That's why.
I'm tired. I can't have wrinkles and zits at the same time. It doesn't make sense. I don't want to be in a coffin with Clearasil.
You sound proactive.
All right.
I can't relate to that.
Of course, Juan, because you're beautiful.
Thank you. Thanksgiving kicked off the holiday season, of course. That's family time for everybody. Here are a few pictures of how my family spent this past holiday weekend. First of all, well, that's my grandson out chopping a Christmas tree. That's